couple of steps back in that department, wasn't it?
Yeah, beaten by a really good side. Probably over that second half of the year, Dogs and Hawthorn are probably the two most consistent form sides of the competition. Dogs had a bit of a hiccup last week in Adelaide, but outside of that, they've been really, really good. And we were hoping we were going to be able to have the Dogs of last week rather than the one that has been so consistent over the second half of the year. But they're a really good side, and they made us hurt in the middle of the ground. Their capacity to control the ball by hand and foot was outstanding today, and we probably did what we expected in the middle of the ground. We won hit-outs, we won first possession, but they're just very, very clean. And unless you're taking advantage of those first possessions and get it out yourself, then they're going to punish you. And that happened a lot. We first possession of the footy looks like we're out, and then we turn the footy over to them, and they're going back the other way. And we just couldn't defend behind the ball. I think there's 5 centre bounce clearances this particular game, and makes it difficult if you're not winning centre bounce. In particular, I think we're down 9 or 10 in that stat. So full credit to them, but it's no surprise in terms of the quality of that midfield, and they're a pretty potent forward line if they get the supply that they did today.
And then exacerbating that, obviously Charlie goes off early, so one of the few guys you could afford to have the lead the field, and just there tall timber, it just seemed like it was, inside 50 deluge, it just seemed like it was like the perfect storm.
Yeah, it just upset our balance significantly. Charlie came off the ground, and then Nick Larkey hobbled off the ground not long after. He was able to return, of course, but a little bit lame, and young Bergman was concussed as well. So that's not ideal, but that's footy. It's a combative game, and it's brutal in some ways in that aspect. But that's the game we play, and we still had chances with the footy, irrespective of what happened in terms of our injury toll, to be able to be a little bit better than what we were. And but we played a really, really good side, and you're right. Our contest work and that sort of stuff over the second half year has been really, really strong outside the Sydney game up in Sydney and this game. We'll try our best to butter up and get going one more time against Hawthorn next week.
Have you got an update on Comben?
No. He obviously had a really, really heavy knock, and we got told he's going to be out with concussion through concussion protocol. So we'll go in after this and speak to our docs and medicos about he and others what the outcome of the game is.
It was obviously the lower leg as well with Charlie. Do you know whether there were 2 separate incidents? Or
No.
The leg in that?
No, we're actually surprised when he's coming off that he was hobbling. I was half hoping he might have a corky, he might be able to come back on, but then we got the call, no, it's concussion as well, so we knew he was out for the game. But I've got no idea what the lower leg is.
And you obviously sort of rushed the trainer off initially, and players just never want to come off in those situations. What do you think the solution is there? Does there need to be some sort of rule where if a trainer says, I want you off, it just has to happen?
Listen, I don't really know, but I think the AFL do it as well as they possibly can, and that is they get to the player once they assess the severity of the knock. The message gets out through the various doctors to get the player off, and in those situations they're off the ground pretty quickly. Can't sit there like if a player is concussed, even he doesn't know necessarily what he might be doing in that situation. So what do? Put him in a headlock and drag him off? So I think that the game does it as well as it possibly can with guys that get a knock, and in this case he was off within a minute anyway.
You've seen in your time, you've seen a lot of exciting young tools and being in charge of quite an exciting young tool. Who does sort of Sam Darcy make in that sort of?
Yeah, he's a really talented player, but as I said, we lost our 2 key defenders in Comben, and Griff Logue's out with the rest of the year with that wrist injury, so that doesn't help him. But he's a very, very talented young player. But that's what you'd expect when a guy goes at pick 2 in the draft. Been around for 3 or 4 years, first couple of years just trying to get strength in his body to cope with the resilience of the game that's required for a big fella, and we're starting to see what he could be in the next 8 to 10 years for their footy club.
Alistair, you spoke about some of the players you might target in the off-season, some of the veterans who might come in to provide some leadership. Has your view changed on commenting on contracted players at other clubs? Because I know it wasn't something you necessarily wanted to do in the past, and you didn't necessarily like it in the past.
No, that's just philosophical. Anyway, what I spoke about on Friday morning on radio, the discussion is very, very different to a press conference. It's about where's your overall list and where you're going and what do you think you need, and it's just like we're searching for leadership type of players that in the twilight of their careers. And it's just like, are we targeting specifics? No, I've got to know Dangerfield, and Jeremy Cameron's available. Yep, he's in the twilight of his career, even though he's still got 3 or 4 good ones probably. But anyone possibly that can come in and help us that's in the twilight of their careers to give us some leadership, because in the mature age in our list that's where we're particularly skinny. So we'll continue to search for that. It wasn't meant to be throwing petrol on the fire for other clubs in terms of it's just like this where we're at. If we did it at Hawthorn when I first arrived there, and we had fortunately there at the club Shane Crawford and Ben Dixon and Johnny Barker and these older type of guys. We brought in a Stewie Jew, Hodgie and Birch did it up in Brisbane. And we'll look to do the same sort of thing if the guys are... But all these guys that we're talking about are all contracted to their clubs. So it was just that we're looking for a type of player. It doesn't specify about any individual. And if they become available to come and be an asset for a footy club, then we're prepared to explore it.
You're naming players, like you know what you're doing. Like when you name a player, like that's going to be discussed.
Well, we'll just shut up and say nothing then.
No, that's what I'm saying. No, it's just it's something in the past you haven't liked contracted players being discussed, and then you've just sort of just done it yourself.
But it's these guys are in the twilight of their careers. If we don't want to crowbar anyone out of their footy club. If they're in the twilight of their footy careers and they say, "Gee, I'm not going to get a game at the club I'm at," because they're a pretty good side and they're moving on with the next generation of player, but there might be another club out there that might give me a couple of years. Then that's the market that we're in, we're all about trying to get our club as good as we possibly can, and maybe the best thing is just to shut up and not give anything to the media at all, and that will be to the detriment of the game, I reckon. So maybe I'll do that next time.
Clarko, 50 year run out for the club, 4 wins or fewer guaranteed. What's the aim for next year? Is there a number, is it like 8 wins minimum, or is there like a...
No, we never worked to that.
Yeah.
And once again, it's just a nice little media story that can, this is where we're expected to finish, or this is how many games they're expected to play or win. Where we look for little things, like even out of today's game, Robbie Hanson kicking a couple of goals and looking a lot tidier with the ball and a lot more comfortable at the level. That's a little win for us. Out of these sorts of games, we moved McKercher forward in the second half, probably halfway through the third quarter, and saw some real excitement with him carrying the footy. Now, unfortunately, the ball didn't bounce up to him a couple of times when he was out and free, but he's not going to be a half-back flanker for the rest of his career, and today gave us an opportunity just to have a look at him for 40 or 50 minutes in the sort of midfield forward type of role, and could he evolve into that type of player for us? We're hoping so, but just little wins like that, whether we win, lose or otherwise, they're the things that we're searching for, and if we continue to take steps. Now, we usually find more wins than that out of a game of footy, and that's certainly been the case in the second half of the year, but we're really disappointed that we couldn't be more competitive today, but we played against a really good side that were on the rebound against a disappointing loss last week against Adelaide, and they're going to be really hard to beat come September if they can just keep playing with the type of form that they did today. They're going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, I guess for 2025, does the club view it as like the year where you finally sort of, it's like the performance of the last 5 years that they're in the review, and we can sort of look to 2025 as the year where you see real signs of promise an improvement.
Well,
That's all.
who knows how quickly it happens? Some sides, like Brisbane's Evolution, they won 5 in their first 2 years and then they bounced really quickly. Hawthorn did exactly the same thing. You're looking at the Hawthorn side this year, who started the year with a poor win-loss record, but then got going and taken all before them. So who knows how long it takes? And some clubs take much longer, and it's just, we'd like to think that we've got the crystal ball to say exactly when it's going to land, but we just don't know. But yeah, we'll continue to search for little things in our game to try to make progress and give our supporters and our players and club hope that we're on the right track.